warm welcome. You're watching this special telecast on ET Now today, and the topic of discussion is how cash and digital economy can go hand in hand in developing the economy. We are seeing heightened digitization in the economy, both as far as citizens are concerned or whether merchants or businesses are concerned. Can they coexist going forward? What are the factors which will be important? The infrastructure, the regulatory environment, all of that is the topic of discussion today. But before I get in, some specialists on this subject to analyze this for us, there's a special message coming in from our keynote speaker, Ravindra Pandey. He's the Deputy MD Strategy and Chief Digital Officer at State Bank of India. Mr. Pandey?
Thank you very much for the invitation to Hitachi Social Innovation Firm India 2021. All of us are getting used to the new normal. Like here, we are attending this forum virtually instead of being present personally, which I would have loved to. I'm happy to be present here at this global event hosted by Hitachi, who is a great partner of State Bank of India. In fact, we formed a merchant acquiring JV back in January 2019. Coincidentally, I was the one who led the discussion from SBI back then, and I am very pleased to see the JV shaping up well in these tasting times. As the leading commercial bank in India, SBI serves over 400 million customers with a wide range of banking services across cities and rural locations in India. India's digital ecosystem is rapidly being built to scale. According to the statistics published by the Reserve Bank of India, as on December 2020, there are 5.7 million POS terminals, 60 million credit cards, and 886 million debit cards in India. SBI is leading this digital story with our own digital initiatives. SBI mobile app, you only need one, SBI Digital Villages, SBI Payment. While the digital ecosystem in India is fast growing as we speak, cash has always remained a strong driver in the economy like all other developing nations. Hence, there is a strong government push towards a less cash India supported by policy changes and initiatives fueling digital growth of economy. Digital footprints generated through digital payments would turn out to be a huge repository of data which can be leveraged to devise alternate credit models to meet the credit needs of MSME or those involved in informal sector. Focusing on credit inclusion will result in prosperity of all sectors that contribute heavily towards India's GDP, agriculture and MSME. Further, in addition to accruing benefits of credit inclusion, one more important aspect that lead to have focus in widening the reach of acceptance infrastructure with twin focus on convenience and cost effectiveness. Payment acceptance infrastructure would transcend the geographical barrier, literacy barrier and connectivity barrier. One of the niche points of digital payment story has been phenomenal growth witnessed by new age instruments such as UPI, prepaid instruments, Aadhaar-enabled payment systems, along with well-established ones such as NEFT, RTGS, and debit cards. One of the most significant change in the payment landscape is the push towards interoperability, with instruments such as UPI allowing transfer between banks independent of the acquirer merchant service provider mobile app. The increasing adoption of the Bharat Bill Payment System, Bharat QR, and interoperability guidelines for PPI player has lent a further push to seamless, secure, and interoperable payments. People say there is an opportunity in every challenge. That has come true with the ongoing pandemic event. While we see various challenges such as businesses shutting down, travel and hospitality industries getting adversely affected, and discretionary spending taking a big hit, there has been a merchant and consumer preference for contactless transactions. We are also seeing huge spurt in online transaction, QR code transactions, and business innovating to attract and retain customers. One of the stated objectives is to ensure optimum utilization of the millions of cards issued to customers in tier 4, 5 and 6 cities, and also create 3 million new touch points every year. The SBI Hitachi joint venture is also facilitating the establishment of a state-of-the-art card acceptance and future-ready digital payment infrastructure in India. Through this JV, we are committed to bring to market a suite of new digital acceptance services which will surely serve to enhance the quality of life at a mass level. Developing a robust merchant ecosystem is paramount to creating a digital highway in influencing customer adoption and driving customer experience and engagement. Let me sum up the macro level advantages accrued through or that can accrue through less cash economy. Economic growth powered through financial inclusion and credit inclusion. With increased digital payments, the influx of cash can be checked, reducing the cost of producing and distribution of currencies. Transparency and convenience to meeting growing aspiration of the millennium. At SBI, we are totally committed to being the digital banker to every Indian, and we are totally committed to ensure that the people at the tier 3 to tier 6 cities are included completely into the digital ecosystem. Thank you very much and thanks a lot.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Pandey, for setting the tone as far as this discussion today is concerned. We have four specialists in this field who are joining us to help us analyze this entire subject and also discuss what's the road ahead from here on, the kind of journey which Indian ecosystem has actually traveled so far in digital payments and cash as a component as well for it, and what's the road ahead. For this, I have today with me Mr. K. Ramchandran of Indian Bank joining us. Apart from that, Rustam Irani of Hitachi Payments is also with us today. Shashank Kumar of Razor Pay is also joining us today, and Mr. Giri Kumar Nair of SBI Payments. Mr. Nair, let me start with you. Your colleague, Mr. Pandey, was just talking about how SBI would like to play a very critical part in the digital payment ecosystem. Help us and our viewers understand when a digital payments ecosystem, what are the elements of it? If you could help us understand that, and then we take it forward from there.
Yeah, thanks, Ajay. First of all, happy to be here in this forum and to be proudly part of Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2021. And I was hearing Mr. Pandey also. This, as you rightly said, SBI plays a major role in the digital payment ecosystem. And if you see, the payment system ecosystem in the country has evolved with a wide range of options, whether it is acceptance or issuance. And so many form factors are also coming from the cards. If you see the issuance side, so many form factors of like issuance of card, QR, and digital applications. Sorry. So at the same time, the State Bank of India has last 10 years, we are in the forefront of digital transformation. We have launched an application called Yono Merchant, Yono application, which is an Yono means you only need one application. For any retail customer, he needs only one application, which encompasses all his customer needs. Basically, it's a game changer. And also on the other side, when you come to the acceptance side, we have all form factors of the acceptance, whether it is QR, we have a Beam SBI app. From the SBA payment side, we have also it's a sort of POS solutions, and we have also have Bharat QR, and we also just launching a Yono merchant application, which is soft POS, which is downloadable in an Android form. So in that way, all the form factors, all the issuance side as well as acceptance side, all the form factors are we are providing the customer. But the key is that what exactly the customer wants, what is his options, and what is his preferences. So SBA is trying to adapt to that. SBA is trying to provide his whatever the merchant needs or the customer needs are there from both sides, from issuance side as well as the acceptance side. That's why I put it in the whole in one or two sentences.
Right, right. Mr. Rani, let me come to you. You are SBI's partner as far as this digital payment, the payments services are concerned, and Hitachi as a company have had a great experience globally as well. So it brings a lot of global best practices here. How have you seen the evolution uh, globally, and how do you see it, the case building to replicate it in the Indian ecosystem as well?
Yeah, Rajat, thanks for, first of all, thanks for having us all here. Happy to be part of this very eminent forum. Hitachi, yes, globally is a very large conglomerate, and in India, while it has a large number of companies in various fields, Hitachi Payment Services offers financial service solutions to various banks and other private financial technology companies and so on. Hitachi globally has, over a period of time, recognized the move to digital transformation. In fact, Hitachi's own social innovation lends itself in many ways to digitization or to making people's lives better using technology in many different ways. In India, particularly, Hitachi Payment Services, part of the Hitachi Group, has partnered with, or SBI has partnered with Hitachi Payment Services, and this in the area of digital transformation of various businesses by providing them options and alternatives to the earlier and the current mainstay of processing of financial transactions with cash is a key initiative. So in India, the global best practices which we bring in are in terms of technology and processes. That's one part of it. Second, of course, is the fact that as part of the SBI banking group with its large number of branches, with the reach it has, is considered the nation's banker. We as a group are able to provide the kind of technology and on the ground support that would help to drive digital financial payment systems to the interiors, to the hinterland. The biggest challenge, of course, which we face anywhere is infrastructure, and that's part of the challenge which all of us have. But by putting together SBI's fantastic strengths in terms of its reach, its commitment to banking and allied services, we believe that Hitachi Payments and Hitachi, the group itself, we would be able to provide to people in the smaller towns and villages, as in the keynote speech, our DMD Mr. Pandey said, tier up to tier 6 and beyond is where financial services are needed the most. And I believe that SBI Payments is poised very well to provide those kind of services. Hitachi itself, as a group, is very keen to see that, because it's part of transforming people's lives and as part of the Hitachi social innovation commitment. It does play a very big role in what we believe globally as an organization we would like to achieve better people's lives. Thanks.
Right. We will go a little more in detail in some of the parts you spoke about, Mr. Rani, but need to get in Mr. Ramchandran as well. Being a public sector bank, he can give us a very good handle of how his journey or at his bank observations are. How is the Indian, be it citizens or be it merchants, accepting digital payments? Because up till now, historically, we have been dependent on cash, and now we are talking about a balanced approach which is coming in. Cash will not vanish from our system overnight, but the role will get diminished, and digital will take some of the role which is, uh, in doing business easy and running our lives easy. Mr. Ramchandran, what's your observation been last few years as the emphasis on digital payments is increasing?
Yeah. Good evening. And I think we'll take two critical time periods. One is the demonetization, and the other one is the COVID pandemic. Two critical things which came in. One was the demonetization facilitated the creation of the digital infrastructure in the country, and people have started using that. But then the COVID-19 made the acceptance to the digital infrastructure more, I would say, because many of the people whom we thought that would not migrate to digital, the people who are old, people who were not coming out of the house, like housewives and all that, everybody took to digital primarily because of the COVID, and that facilitated to a certain extent, I would say. But and similarly, the infrastructure also has got enhanced. In terms of the number of point of sale terminals have increased from about 16 lakhs to about 60 lakhs during this period, from 16 to 21. The debit cards have increased to about 88 crores in this period. And then the number of check usage has come down from about 9 crores to about 5 crores. These are all indicators which say that we are moving towards a digital economy. But then if you see the cash in circulation, what was there in 2016 was about 11.87 crores in November, has jumped to about 27.07 crore in the month of December 20, which indicates that still cash plays a major role in that. and there is a need for us to penetrate or create that acceptance infrastructure. Primarily, first of all, facilitate that people, the network is available now, because even in tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, people are using smartphones, people, internet connectivity is there, and the data prices have fallen drastically, thanks to Geo and other telecom operators. We are now creating an infrastructure there. The second one was the cards. The card penetration also has increased, which means that people can quickly adopt the digital infrastructure. Now the payment infrastructure, the acceptance infrastructure has to increase, which I think the UPI has facilitated. The QR code and the UPI has facilitated to some extent. And then now we have to enhance, not only looking at the payment infrastructure. When we say digital, we need to see that the other areas are also getting digitalized. Like we will see that when I want to do a due diligence of a customer, whether I can do that digitally, things are getting facilitated. To that extent, it becomes interesting. So if we say the last decade has been the decade of core banking for the banks, and this decade will be the digital era, where people will be migrating not only from core banking, but they will be moving towards a digital infrastructure. And there are certain frameworks which are being implemented, which will also facilitate. The digital e-stamping is coming in, so that will also help us to see that things are done in a more digital way rather than the physical form. The digital signatures, the digital e-stamping which NECL has brought in. So these are all some of the initiatives which definitely will pave the way. But cash, to reduce that, we need to have some sort of incentivizing or a disincentivizing mechanism in place, so that people move from cash towards the digital infrastructure.
Mhm. Let's get in Shashank also in the discussion. Shashank, you bring in also a view of the new economy. Uh, the economy, perhaps the part of the economy which is much more swifter in accepting new technology, new trends. What is your observation on the entire matter? McKinsey India head was just recently talking to me, and he was saying that 5 years worth of digitization or acceptance of technology in our country has happened in the last 8 months. What is your observation, and the kind of business models are evolving? A company like Razorpay, which has come in, and how is the new economy accepting payments and digitization in general?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank thought for to the panel. It's a very interesting topic. We have been on the ground uh, since almost 5 6 years supporting Indian businesses, right, for their digital payment needs. And I think demonetization was the first point where we really saw digitization happening in droves for a lot of businesses, and seeing how much impact digitization can in the country. But I think last 1 year since the pandemic has happened, right, the changes that have happened in the ecosystem dwarf anything that has happened before, even demonetization to a large extent, right. Today we are seeing a lot of businesses coming online for the very first time, coming online and accepting digital payments, thinking of leveraging internet for their day-to-day operations and day-to-day businesses, right, for the very first time, right. Today almost 80% of businesses that we onboard for payments are first time users of internet or first time users of digital payments, right. And what has happened during the pandemic, right, the traditional way of doing business, the traditional supply chains, or everything has gotten disrupted to an extent. Some of it is coming back, right, but the businesses that have thrived, that have survived, that are thriving, right, and will grow in future are the ones who are adopting technology, are the ones who have a forward looking mindset, right, are the ones who think of internet, or who think of leveraging mobile, of leveraging digitization as tools of growth, as tools of moving forward, right? And that is where we are building a lot of products, we are building a lot of things, we are helping in spreading education around these new age technologies, around digital payments on the ground, and helping businesses transition during this phase, right. And we have seen tremendous new businesses and opportunities, like businesses like Hatabook and Pagarbook, who are even helping digitization for tier 3 and tier 4 city businesses, and even in rural areas, where I think it was still a dream to see whether those businesses will go digital, but we are even seeing that happening now. I think that trend will keep continuing in the future.
Right, Shahang, actually, you brought up a very interesting point, and that is uh, penetration of technology into deeper parts of the country, adoption rate, and also the usage of internet, low data, as Mr. Ramchandran was talking about, and of course, the Android phones. So let's before we take it forward, let's also get in some views from our audience and viewers. And time for our first question, the poll question. The first poll question is that is innovation in technology is increasing the penetration of digitization, digital payments overall. You can answer in yes or no, and you can also participate in this conversation which we are having with our esteemed panelists and who are locked in. Uh, Mr. Nair, let me come to you. I'll just join the
Yeah.
2 points which Mr. Ramchandran and what Shashank spoke about. How is the millions of SMEs, the small kirana owners, small business companies which are running businesses? You would have a view on the SMEs, millions of SMEs in the country. SBI would have a view on like none other. What kind of feedback you can share with us? How are they really going about adopting digital payment services?
Actually, the merchant ecosystem is fast changing and blurring boundaries between e-com and physical world. Especially the pandemic happened. And earlier, merchant acceptance means only through the POS machines. If you are a merchant, I should put a POS machine or a QR code, I should accept it. But the pandemic has also showed us that even the small merchants, small SMEs also, they are also doing e-com transactions through it's a small developing a small web or small application through that. So this is a fast change where even small merchants and SMEs also going ahead and doing business through the online space. So online, that's why I said that it's a blurring boundaries between e-com and physical world. And from the SBI point of view, we have a largest segments of SME segments, especially as we see, even if you see the merchant acceptance line also, mostly merchant acceptance has with the major merchants, maybe in urban areas. As Mr. Ramendran was saying that we have over 952 million debit and credit cards, but hardly 6 million POS are there. And of the 6 million also, how much is active? Maybe as far as a small merchants or a micro merchants, I may not be able to afford to have a POS machine because the cost is very high. So especially for a small merchants, he is looking for a small solution which is cost effective at the same time, should easy to use. That's why all the new development, new soft, maybe one new initiatives called, most of the companies are now releasing the soft POS. The SBA is also releasing a soft POS called Yono Merchant application, where it's a downloadable Android form, just like that he can just download in his Android mobile phone and use it as an acceptance device. So going forward, this penetration, if you see the penetration of smartphones as well as the internet connectivity in all over India is very high. So that is why in tier 2 and tier 3 areas also, this smartphone related soft POS will be a game changer. And this will be, all the SMEs will be able to transact. They can do the online business. They can do the digital business through this application called this soft POS. Another thing is that even small vendors, like even Prime Minister's PM Swandhi scheme is there. As per the PM Swandhi scheme, all the merchants, street vendors, they are being given a loans up to 10,000 rupees. This can be accepted, and all these street vendors have to be using the digital onboarding payment through the QR, so that they'll be incentivized by the government. So all these street vendors are also small street vendors who are doing a vegetable vending or fruit vending is also encouraged to do digital transactions. They are being given by loans up to 10,000 rupees by the bank, and they are also encouraged to use this digital acceptance module through the QR, which we are long way it will be going for a person can use digital payments also. So like this going forward, digital payments is not going to be that difficult by ease of use or by the cost effectiveness.
Right. Mr. Irani, let me come to you now. You are a technology, a company which is very strong in technology. Of course, SBI's partner, but at a group level, you've seen technology evolve in other parts of the world as well, much bigger economies. How is India stand right now in the robustness of the digital payment backbone which we are laying with companies like with the help of companies such as yours for larger financial conglomerates like SBI? How strong are the system and the backdrop? Because there is some amount of resistance also in one section of the ecosystem, about safety, about ease of adopting technology, all of that. We keep hear negative headlines also sometimes about cyber security. Can you share some thoughts on that?
Ajay, I was saying the world over digital transformation has happened to start with in countries where infrastructure has been strong. But at the same time, there has been various stimuli which have helped to make that shift easier. Now, when we look at India in particular, and if we compare it to what we have globally, India, in terms of penetration of digital payment infrastructure, is probably very, very far away from what we would desire it to be, whether it is for cash in terms of ATMs or cash recycling machines, or whether it is the digital infrastructure in terms of point of sale terminals at merchants, the penetration in that segment, or even for that matter, the ability for somebody at home to carry out online transactions using a payment gateway and so on. Now, over a period of time, especially since demonetization, there has been renewed focus, and India has been at the forefront in that sense. So, if you look at what happened post demonetization, when we had ATMs which were not able to dispense cash because of the notes being taken out of circulation, a lot of people shifted to digital modes of transaction. At that time, I remember a large number of terminals having got deployed in about 3 to 4 months, which was a major initiative by the DFS, the Ministry of Finance, and all banks participated, helping that part of infrastructure to grow. But essentially, not just that, it helped in the penetration or the creation of payment service infrastructure. But a lot of new innovations took place. UPI, for example, it's moved on from strength to strength, providing a payment option which is flexible, which is extremely well accepted. There have been players who have used it to the advantage. The newer entrants in terms of WhatsApp Pay, Google Pay, and others have added strengths to that. Now, if you look at India in particular, in terms of financial transaction digitization and a revolution around that, we're probably in that way the fastest adopter because of the very large number of people that we have, even given the poor infrastructure in the country. So that's a positive thing. But at the same time, to be able to get users to transact, you need them to be aware that yes, this is a safe platform. This is something which you can. It's like cash. I mean, you need to be able to manage it the same way as you do cash. You keep it in a wallet. You don't hand it over to everybody. So I think one of the very, very important things you need to do is to make sure that people who use digital forms of transaction are made aware that they need to protect themselves and made aware. And it's not very difficult. This is as easy as telling a child not to talk to a stranger. I mean, that's about all that it takes. And I think that as we go forward, this is what many of the developed countries have taken care of many ways, and we as a country in this very, very rapid phase of transformation to digital payments need to take care of. I think it's obligatory on all of us to provide various financial services, obligatory to all our customers to provide that. So I think that's one of the key things that we need to do.
Right, right. Before I move forward and take a question from Shashank, I need to take another poll for our viewers and people who are listening to our conversation, our viewers. Uh, Very simple question. The question is, can India reach the level of digital penetration and conducting financial transactions via the digital backbone in comparison to or at the standards of developed markets in the next few years? You can answer with yes or no and participate in this poll. In fact, Shashank, I want your view on the various technology innovation which is happening in the digital payment ecosystem.
So, India is a very heterogeneous country, right? I think we are used to seeing that since quite some time, that there is no one big thing that has worked out great for the country, right? But certain trends that have been clear since past few years, right, is the trend around increasing penetration of mobile and internet, right? Mobile penetration has been increasing significantly year on year, and I think we'll continue seeing that, right? As we have already crossed the threshold where the number of smart have overtaken the number of feature phones, I think in next 5 years, we'll see smartphone penetration reaching almost 100%. In the country, and beyond that, I think we have already seen how the geo effect has played out in the country and has made data accessible for everyone. I think these two factors are essential. But beyond this, I think the UPI initiative by government uh, was the one which really brought everything together, right? Because it enabled every Indian to transact during a very low cost medium of digital payment, right? Because before that, we had seen cards ecosystem being present, but to an extent, I think the cost of transaction there was barrier for entry for a lot of small merchants and tier 3 tier 4 cities ecosystem. And the UPI and then beyond that, QR code has actually brought it into the mainstream today, and we have seen rapid progress of QR code deployment in the country, to the extent that I don't think we have seen in any other in any other geography in the world, right? So we have already seen UPI crossing billion transactions and so many milestones, and I think that will continue happening in future as well. Then beyond that, I think we'll see this overall need for the hardware itself go away completely, right? So we still see that hardware deployment being having a significant cost for card acceptance. As time goes on, I think this whole online offline world itself will merge, and we'll see renewed interest in UPI QR, Bharat QR, and all those different technologies that will enable us to transact digitally without any need for putting capex in the hardware deployment itself. I'm also really excited about the new umbrella entity initiative by RBI, because I see that that can open up a lot more avenues of innovation through the private public partnership and through the banking fintech partnership in future. So we'll see how that plays out. The last thing that I'll talk about is the security aspect. If we have to have the consumers trusting the digital ecosystem, then you cannot discount the aspect around security itself that is there, right? So that is why RBI also has a continuous focus on emphasizing again and again and again on how much security is important for the country and how we need to continue investing in cybersecurity systems. But I think the maturity of that will take some time, and I think as an ecosystem we continue to invest in it, but we can do a lot more on that front to keep our guards up. Yeah.
Right. Actually, you mentioned a very interesting point, public-private partnership, and the way it is blossoming, in this ecosystem. And Hitachi and SBI partnership is a fine example of that. Before I go ahead and also get in closing comments coming in from all of you, need to take the third poll question. The third poll question is that will digitalization in India, especially got to do with payments, digital payments being made, remain a focus of urban India, or even the rural India, tier 2, tier 3, will fast starting to accept this? You can answer yes or no for this particular question. Let's take the closing comments coming in. Mr. Ramchandran, role of UPI, role of RBI, government as a catalyst. At one point in time, demonetization or COVID, of course, were kind of shocks because of which people are being forced towards digitization. But now regulators, companies like Sibyl, everyone is actually providing their own role in order to boost digitalization and digital payments in our country. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Because if we are to move as a nation, into a digital economy, all these regulators also have to play a crucial role, because that will give the impetus for banks as well as the fintechs also to participate in an active manner. The first one was the initiative of the government of India, where they wanted to have one district taken up by one bank to make it completely digital. So the lead banks of that particular districts were asked to identify one district in their geography and make it digital, the digital applying campaign, where it will be ending on the 31st of March, where 100% the population should have done at least one digital transaction, either through cards or through POS or through UPI or through mobile. So internet banking, and so on. So just like how we had the financial inclusion bringing in a huge population into the formal banking system, similarly, the digital applying campaign also will bring a huge population. It will be a starting effort, but then slowly it will get extended to the various parts of the country, and that's one step. The second one was what I was telling is about the NECL initiative, where they want to have end-to-end digital journey for a loan proposal also. Not only the appraisal of the loan digitally, the due diligence of the customer digitally, then the signing of the documents digitally, and the disbursement of the money digitally. That means I, as a banker, I get a digital profile of an individual where I will go on digitally to CIBIL and find out what is his score, what are the various other facilities which he's enjoying with other banks, take a picture of that, then find out whether his PAN card, we know what is whether the validity of the PAN card, and so many other details. If the GST will give me what is the total turnover which he has achieved over the last 6 months, 3 months, whatever, so that we can appraise the loan digitally. And then the main problem was when it's coming to the documentation, where he has to physically visit the branch to either stamp the documents or to sign the documents. Now that also has been facilitated, where the digital stamping can be done through the stockholding corporation, and the digital signing can be done through the Aadhaar. So, and the disbursement, of course, anyway, it's there because the DBT is one major initiative where the money is reaching digitally to the end customers into their accounts, so that they are facilitated to draw the money from their accounts without being to move cash. So these are some of the initiatives.
Right. We are completely out of time, but I would like to take closing comments of Mr. Rani and Mr. Nair as well. Mr. Nair, if there is, one particular message or one kind of a uh, to our viewers, be it SMEs or individual citizens, uh, who are actually gradually coming to terms with the digital payment ecosystem, or are willingly and seeing the benefits, all of that, have accepted it. What is one message you would like to give? Or, at SBI Payments, any target which you have set for yourself, that over the next, in this area of digital payments, you would like to achieve? What would that message be?
Yeah. SBI Payments is looking forward for deepening the digital payments, and we just want to become an acquirer to every merchant, because our parent company, State Bank of India, is the banker to one of the tagline was banker to every Indian. Same way, we aspire that we should become an acquirer to that every merchant, because by way of providing an hassle-free, also cost-effective acquiring solutions to him, enabling him, giving him, hand-holding him, and making, especially to the rural areas and semi-urban area, with a special focus to Northeast, where the digital payment deepening is very low. So that's what we are intending for. I'm sure that we'll be able to do that also. Thank you.
Mhm. And Mr. Irani, yeah, your last comment, closing comments from you.
I think, Ajay, over the last 4 years, we've seen massive strides being taken in improving the overall digital infrastructure in the country, overall improving the payment landscape as we know it. At the same time, what we've seen is a large amount of growth in cash availability. If you look at it, just before the pandemic in March of 2020, we had around 24 trillion of cash in circulation, which early part of this year, as we know it, has gone up to 27 plus trillion. Now that's a lot of cash which is grown in circulation, and that's in line with, we believe, the economy as it is poised to grow. Normally, we see a certain amount of cash, while this is a little more than that. Now, uh, at the same time, when I speak about the growth in digital and accompanied by cash, what we require is to empower India for financial inclusion. And for that, we need a very robust financial infrastructure which makes these services easily accessible to one and all. At the same time, it needs to be technologically sound and in line with what customers need or are looking for. Now, when we look at this, when we look at various innovations that have happened over the years, we believe that at this time there is a substantial amount of innovation both in cash and digital, whether it is and this is primarily when I speak of primarily when we look at those sectors of our society that need to be provided better infrastructure, better availability of services to allow them to transact. We have on the cash side, we've got penetration of white label ATMs, which is growing on a monthly basis, and believe that's one big impetus for digital and for cash as well as digital inclusion. We also have other innovations like cash recycling machines, which now, in the past, we had cash dispensers or ATMs as we used to call them, even there today. But they only dispense cash. Cash recycling machines allow you to deposit cash as well in these machines, which then immediately get credited to your account. And these kind of innovations, the cash side, as well as if you look at on the digital side, contactless card payments, transit payments, digital onboarding of merchants, all of that, and of course the ability for merchants to online literally check on various service requests which they may have from their service providers. All these innovations then make us believe that we will be able to grow the overall pie and have more and more people become part of the formal payments system. I would like to say that at this time, while digital transactions continue to rise, cash plays an equal, if not a very balancing role in that sense. Cash, yes, has been for a long time in India and continues to be in many parts preferred mode of payment for various reasons. But at the same time, while digital transactions have been growing and will continue to grow, we believe that the growth in terms of digital payments is just what we're seeing as the tip of the iceberg. We need to have both cash and digital payment systems available. It's up to a customer to choose what they want, whether one or the other. And that really is about choice, is about choice to customers. So at Hitachi Payment Systems, we are committed to building a robust, secure payment infrastructure for both cash and digital payments. We use Hitachi's innovative and advanced technologies providing end-to-end solutions. The intent is, of course, to meet the changing needs of society while driving payments penetration in the country. We do have an immense need for that, and I believe at Hitachi we are very well poised to provide those services. Thanks.
Okay, Shashank. Right, Shashank is back. Let me take a closing comment from him as well. Shashank, before we wrap up and wind up, do you think the amount of penetration and digital payment acceptance we've seen, the progress we've seen in this field?
Absolutely. I think the amount of digital payments that we are seeing will not only double, but it will cross that threshold, right? And for India to become a $5 trillion economy, right, digitization is going to play a very key role in that. See, the businesses are the heart and soul of the economy, right? We need to see more businesses, in every nook and corner of the country coming up and thriving, and going through the phase of digitization for India itself to remain super competitive on the global stage, right? And for that to happen, for digitization to happen, for digital payments to flourish, we need to build the right set of products at the point where businesses need it, right? So we need to invest a lot in vernacular, in digitization, in spreading the products in tier 3, tier 4 cities and in rural areas, right? And we will see digital payments itself crossing $500 billion threshold in next 5 years, and be a significant part of changing the economy and changing India.
Right, a very good point which you brought on the table, Shashank. As they say, that digitization is not only transforming businesses or the ecosystem, but it is making the country much more efficient. And an efficient country is much more valuable and actually adds value to its citizens as well. On that positive note, we'd like to end our discussion. Thank you very much, Mr. Nair, Mr. Irani, Shashank, Mr. Ramchandra, all of you for your valuable inputs on this subject today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.